No film crew, no problem. On this video, I'm showing you how you can make a film all by yourself using my solo filmmaking method. This is Camp Films. Hey guys, Ryan with Camp Films. Thank you so much for being here today. Hope you guys are doing great. It's a beautiful spring day here in North Carolina, and today we're talking about solo filmmaking. No crew, no budget, no problem. Just an idea, your camera, and the willingness to figure it out. If you've been following this channel for some time, you know that I've made several short films here on the channel all by myself. That includes behind the camera and in front of the camera. It's by no means an easy task, but it can be done. And today I wanted to share with you my solo filmmaking method that I use to achieve these short films. And I'm also in the process right now of writing a script where I can use this method to make a feature film all by myself as well. This is one filmmaker writing, shooting, editing, and acting if you're up to it. I think the reason I started making films like this is that I'm just an impatient person by nature, and I don't like waiting for other people to give me the permission to go out and make something. Sometimes in the spur of the moment, I'll get an idea and I'll just want to go out and start shooting right then, and I don't want to have to wait on other people to help me get things done. It's a combination of hard-headedness and impatience. In this video, we'll be going over everything I think you need to focus on in the solo filmmaking method to make films by yourself, or at least with one actor, and you doing everything behind the camera. And if you stick around until the end of the video, I'm going to be sharing with you how you can get your hands on a free downloadable cheat sheet focused on the solo filmmaking method, which is part of my Filmmakers Field Guide. But before we dive in, let's talk about today's video sponsor, Katalist AI. If you're looking for an easier way to help communicate your film ideas with others, look no further than Katalist AI. Katalist AI turns your ideas into visual storyboards in seconds. Just upload your script and boom, you've got consistent characters, shot styles, and sequences ready to build your actual film. You can tweak visuals, trim scenes, and even drop in narration and music using the timeline editor. And if you need help getting started, you can use one of their pro presets to get off the ground running and stay fast and focused. And with next-gen video models like Runway Gen 4 Turbo and Google VO2 under the hood, your boards don't just look good, they look cinematic. If you're a filmmaker, this is one of the fastest ways to go from idea to visual plan. You can try it for free at Katalist AI. Thanks to Katalist for sponsoring today's video. My solo filmmaking method is an acronym that stands for single concept, one character, limited locations, and one crew member. That's going to be you. The first rule of solo filmmaking is to keep things simple. It's good to try to anchor everything into one strong concept. In my solo film Premonition, the idea was, what if a man received a warning about his own murder? Just one idea, one twist. That's all you really need to build out the rest of the story and create tension or dread or whatever kind of mood you're going for. When making a film like this, I try to avoid multi-layered plots, subplots, and exposition-heavy scripts. Just one theme and one conflict and one character. You just really need to find one idea that can stand on its own visually and emotionally. For example, here's a good idea for a solo short film you could try to make. What if a man wakes up and realizes he's the only one left in town? Just having that one character, you could tell a pretty interesting story and unravel the mystery of why this man woke up alone in this town. Now let's talk about using one character and how you can break or bend this rule a little bit. Of course, if you're not up to acting, this is going to be the only other person you're collaborating with during the process of making this film. You can cast one actor, or if you're like me and you're even more stubborn, you can film and be the actor as well. In a few of my short films here on the channel, like The Hammer and Premonition, I've kind of bent this rule a little bit, and in Trophies also. In Trophies and Premonition, I actually hired a voice actor to play another character that wasn't actually seen on screen, but we hear their voice. I thought it would come across as pretty lame or weird if I was talking on the phone to myself, so I had to make a few caveats and reach for some outside help when it came to those roles. In my newest short film, The Door, and in my short film, The Hammer, I actually played multiple characters. In The Door, I'm just playing a doppelganger of myself, so I bent that rule a little bit. But in my short film, The Hammer, I actually played multiple characters by just wearing a mask and locking down the camera and having both characters be on screen at the same time. Focusing on one character or as few characters as possible is just going to simplify the production, and it just lets you pour all of your emotion and story ideas into one singular performance for that main character. One character doesn't mean it has to be a one-dimensional story. They can of course have a story arc, inner monologue, flashbacks, but as I've already demonstrated, you can bend that rule a little bit and have them go up against their own doppelganger, or have them wear a mask and play a different character. Another way you can streamline the process and keep things even more simple and easier to pull off is to not have a ton of dialogue in the script. Write a character who expresses a lot just through their body language or their eye movement or their facial expressions. You can express a lot through silence and stillness and emotional breakdowns. You can have them reflecting on something they've read or something they're looking at. Have them be alone in nature by themselves, wandering through the woods, going on an adventure. Try to think of performance and not dialogue, and try to show as much as you can without exposition, and always try to show and not tell. Limited locations. This one should be pretty self-explanatory. The easiest way to pull off using limited locations is of course to write a story that can utilize the locations you already have available to you, mainly being where you live. Write a story that focuses on one location, that being your home. You'll notice that in a lot of my solo films, they all take place in one location, and a lot of times it's in the woods behind my house. Sometimes it's easy for us to forget that other people aren't familiar with our living situation or the settings that we personally live in, and it is visually interesting to them. Sometimes when you live in a certain spot or you see a spot quite often, it's just not visually interesting to you anymore just because you're used to it. But other people aren't used to it. You can use these locations and they can be visually interesting to outside parties. Just try to shoot where you are, or write a story that uses the location you're already at. The solo method thrives on this constraint. Once you start writing a story that's globetrotting or bouncing all over the place to 5 or 6 different locations, chances are you're going to get frustrated and you're probably not going to finish the film. I shot my film Trophies entirely at a nearby national park where there's a bridge. It's a really cool location. I've seen it many times in my childhood, and I thought, hey, maybe I should just wait till the weather looks good and go down there and film something. Now, there were a few days where there were people down there walking around and I really couldn't get the shots I wanted because I didn't want to invade their privacy. And one day there was a wildlife team down there working on something. So that's something to keep in mind if you're going to be using outside locations. And of course, if you absolutely don't want to use your home in the film, you can reach out on social media for a specific location. For instance, one time I reached out on social media for a diner setting that I needed. Especially living in a small town, one of the local people reached out to a nearby owner of a diner. He got back in touch with me and let us use the location 100% for free. Sometimes you just never know until you ask. So if you're really looking for a specific location for your film, don't hesitate to reach out on social media or just cold call some businesses in the area and see if they'll let you use their location. And if you can't afford to pay them a small fee, do that as well. A lot of times you'll find that people in the area, especially somewhere where I live, which isn't California, and people aren't used to seeing people film movies, you're going to find that they're pretty excited about the idea of someone filming a film or whatever at their location, and they'll be excited to help you out any way they can. Think of the areas that you already have access to, hallways, garages, bathrooms. Keeping those locations in mind can help you flesh out your story and help you elevate your film. A lot of times when I'm coming up with a story, I'm already thinking about how I can use my home and my property and just the things I already have available to me to create a better story. But don't get me wrong, a great location can really help drive your story. My very first solo film, The Farmhouse, utilized an incredible location here near where I live, an old farmhouse. It's just abandoned. I just stopped by there one day and shot my very first solo short film on the property. And a lot of times, a great location can help elevate your film to whole new heights. If I would have tried to film that same film here at my house, it just would not have worked. Once you do have a location picked out, be sure to walk around the location with your camera and try to figure out the best areas for lighting, framing, and all that good stuff so you can make the most out of the location that you're using. All right, now let's talk about using one crew member. That's going to be you. Whether you hired an actor or not for your film, you're going to be the one behind the camera directing all the action. When I say one crew member, I mean it. In The Hammer, I was the actor, director, sound guy, special effects guy, set dresser, everything. It can be chaotic and frustrating at times, but it can be done, and it's also pretty freeing. Knowing that you don't have to wait on anyone else or worry about how they're pulling off their job, everything's on your shoulders. It's a pretty freeing experience to know that everything rides on you, especially when you complete the film and you've uploaded it and shared it with everyone. It's pretty satisfying to know that, hey, I did all that by myself. And if it's a story that you've written and come up with, no one knows how better to pull it off than you do. So if you're up to it, go in there and be the actor and the director. This method forces you to think like a full indie production team. It may even help you become more intimate with every part of the filmmaking process so that when you do work with a big crew or a full crew, you have a better understanding of everyone's jobs and what it takes to pull off those different jobs. It's also a great experience if you want to branch out and work with another crew or another director. Maybe if you've accumulated enough experience being a sound mixer or gaffer, you can take those skills to someone else's production and help them bring their vision to life as well. If I had one major tip to give when it comes to being a one-man crew, is to use natural light whenever possible. Especially if you're going to be acting in your own film, breaking down and setting up different light setups is really strenuous in this type of situation. It's hard enough monitoring focus and sound, and if you throw lights into the mix, man, you're really gonna have a lot of work cut out for you. So try to come up with a story that uses natural light, or if you can be outside in the blue hour or golden hour, that's really great. You just have to worry about time constraints. You'll notice in a lot of my solo films here on the channel, I've shot outdoors, and I've usually shot on overcast days or, in the morning or in the evening. And if you have to use lights, I would recommend getting a mannequin head like I have so you can get the best possible lighting setup available. I don't want you to think of the solo method as a checklist. I want you to think of it more as a mindset. It's built for those of us like myself who are hard-headed, impatient, and you don't want to wait around for the perfect moment to go out there and create your film. All of my solo films here on the channel, from The Farmhouse to Trophies, The Hammer, The Door, they were all finished because I stopped waiting and I started making. If you've got an idea burning in your head and you have a camera or just your phone lying around, go out there and start making it. Write your story around the resources you already have. Keep it simple, stay mobile, and just try to make something that you can be proud of. And as promised, if you want to learn more about the solo filmmaking method, I have a free downloadable cheat sheet, which is just one page of my amazing Filmmakers field guide. You can follow the link in the description below to go grab it for yourself. And if you want more resources just like that, you can get the full Filmmakers field guide from the Can't Films digital store. This is a huge collection of cheat sheets, assets, forms, and resources for filmmakers. I think you're really going to love it. And if you grab it, you'll be supporting the channel, so thank you so much. If you found this video beneficial, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. And a big thank you to our members who support this channel on a monthly basis. Thank you so much for coming along on this filmmaking journey with me. I am Ryan, and I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.